Good morning. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Breakfast with the Brand. And our phenomenal leader and your host, Sean Rais, he won't be with us this morning because he is out getting it done. He's out there making sure that more and more people hear what needs to be heard about building and developing successful businesses. So he's been entrusting you all and your brand's development with me this morning. Good morning, Lawana. Good morning, Jordan. As everybody's coming in on different platforms, you guys know we're on different platforms. Go ahead and let us know where you're coming in from. And I just want you all to talk to me a little bit about what the energy is like for this holiday execution. That's right, holiday execution, because I wrote down some things that I want to cover today. As one, it's Friday, but it's also the beginning of the holiday onslaught, where we've got Christmas and then New Year's and then MLK and then Valentine's Day and boom, 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 all of those back to back. And then finally, we can breathe again. We can say, okay, it's time to get back to business. But what I want us to do is I want us to think about what we can do in the downtime. What can we do in the downtime? Because there's this phenomenal story, and it talks about two salespeople. One salesperson looks outside, sees that it's raining. Salesperson says to themselves, I'm not going to go outside. Who's buying stuff in the rain? Another salesperson goes out, wakes up, looks outside, sees that it's raining, jumps out of the bed and says, yes, phenomenal, it's raining. No other salespeople will be out today. I'm going to kill it. So one salesperson had the mindset that, it's rainy weather. Let me put my head under the covers and go to sleep. The other person said, it's raining. This is my time to shine. So that's what I want you to think about this holiday season. Like, as everybody kind of turns in, people start setting the alarm clock a little bit later. People start setting plans to get up a little bit later. What are you going to do? What are you in a unique position to do to give your business that edge, right? That edge. So as we get into things today, the topic I have for you all is building a brand before you're ready. Building the brand before you're ready. Good morning. I see Tia. I see Lawana. I see Tanisha Baker, Jordan Knox. Again, welcome as everybody comes in. So what I want you to think about is, are you ready to build the brand? Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. When I got started, I thought I was ready. I thought I knew what it meant to build the brand until I was actually doing it. And what some of us will realize as we're building the brand, as we're developing our brand, is that we don't really know who we are. We don't know who the ideal client really is. Like we've done the basic stuff. We've done the geographics, psychographics, the various things that you do just to target. Like we know how to target. But when it comes to actually penetrating the marketplace with a piercing and concise message that resonates with who we are as individuals and business owners and connects with who the individual ideal client truly is, like that part, that's the part that's a little fuzzy. That's the part a lot of us are looking for some clarity on. So if I can give you some clarity on that, would that make your 2024 that much more effective? Put some flames in the chat. If we're able to have you walk away with the questions you need to answer, with the actions you need to take to get extremely clear on who you are and who your ideal client is and how to start building that brand before you have all of the things in place, put some flames in the chat, because that's what I'm giving you guys today. I'm giving you some of the very unique questions that I asked myself to arrive here. So as we go to the break, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to get your pencils and your paper, your coffee, whatever you need, because this morning I'm going to give you guys everything you need to think about how to structure your brand so that it evolves with you and it's not something that you're kind of tinkering on. It's not something that you're fabricating out of the ether and just hoping that it works. I'm going to show you how to actually architect the brand in such a way that as you evolve and you develop, the brand does also. And that's what helps create phenomenal personal brands in my experience. Let's go to the break.
There's slow growth and then there's scale. There's incremental growth and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. In brand clarity, exactly what you're going to get is what it sounds like. Clarity for your brand. What is your color? What is your logo? What is your unique value proposition? Who are you speaking to? Why? How should you speak to them? How should I position myself? That's what you're going to learn in brand clarity. You need other people to have the same clarity on your brand that you do. But this is the gap. If you don't have clarity on your brand, then no one else is going to have clarity on your brand either. It's like messaging. Your message sounds clear to you, but is your end user receiving the value that you're trying to provide? I guarantee you that after you go through brand clarity, they will, and so will you. And that's how you'll scale your brand.
Man, can someone say brand clarity? Brand clarity. And before I dive into some of the questions, some of the exercises that I have for us this morning, just think about this excerpt. I believe it's from Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill said, "You would not construct a message and then send it off for the individual to decipher it themselves." He said you would have a very clear message that you're trying to send, and then you would use a alphabetical structure that makes sense. In other words, sometimes we can get in our own little worlds, like we can have our own messages in our head, but we don't actually know if that same messaging construct translates to the marketplace. So that was just a phenomenal piece that came to my mind. So that could be frustrating for some of you. Like if some of you are actively in the marketplace, you're actively on social media, you're going live and you're doing it over and over and over again, and you're still not really seeing what you're looking for, it might be because the messaging isn't necessarily off, but the convention, the messaging convention, the way you're structuring it is not easily received by who you're sending it to. So that's just something to think about. But what I'm about to give you guys right now is really going to help you. So first thing that we're going to talk through is brand colors. Brand colors. And I didn't know that we were going to play that particular episode or commercial, but this is great. So when you think about brand colors, I want you to think about color psychology a little bit. So brands are subtle, ladies and gentlemen. They're subtle, but there are so many subtleties that are combined together that create this very bold expression. Because here's something that most people, or I'll talk about myself. Here's something that I did wrong. When I was trying to build my brand, my personal brand, before I understood what branding really was, is I was trying to do very big, bold things, like all the time. Big, bold things all the time. Now, bold isn't bad. It's about how you get to bold, right? So if you are in your branding stage and you're building your brand, what you want is bold, but you don't necessarily want to be extremely novel. So what am I saying? Like, how does all of this connect? Okay, I'll give you a story. I'll give you more of an example. Imagine you had two individuals. One individual was trying to sell you steak. The other individual was selling you chicken. Now, if you go to one individual and you're, say, from the West, you're an American, and this individual has their steak laid out, it is using American cutlery, so to speak, like different utensils, forks, they look Americanized. You see the language, it's in English. You see different images, and all of them resonate with the Western way of doing things. And then you go to this chicken spot. And in this chicken spot, it looks like there's hieroglyphics from old Egypt. You're eating out of a clay bowl. The fork isn't really a fork, but it's got like two prongs instead of 3 or 4. And you're looking between the two. Now, most of you all from the West are going to eat the steak. You're going to eat the steak because it's not so random that it turns you off. And when we talk about brand colors and we talk about originality and we talk about really getting in front of your ideal client, here's the exercise I want you to do. One, ask yourself, what are your brand colors and what do they say? It's the first thing. That's a way to connect. So my colors are blue. Sean's colors are red. I work in the finance space. Because I work in the finance space, what does blue say? It says free, freedom. Financial freedom is something I want to elicit. It says honesty, trusting, trustworthy. If I'm dealing with all of your money and I'm moving that money from you from place to place, you might want to be able to trust me. So I want you to think about your brand. What do people say based on the colors that you use? Jordan Knox said purple to black gradient. Gradient. So just think about what that elicits. What feeling does that evoke? And then I want you to think about, are you original? Are you weird? Or are you just another of the other? Are you original, weird, or another of the other? See, that part is pretty tricky. And when I said I want to help you build the brand that evolves with you, you're not going to have all the answers out of the gate. And that's okay. So what you want to do is you simply want to be original. You simply want to be original. And originality often comes from a certain type of creativity. And that type of creativity is abstract thinking. See, I'm trying to give you the keys this morning to actually building the brand. Building the personal brand in a way that is alive, in a way that you feel the brand, because what you want to do is you want to create something that's alive. And when you create that thing that's alive, what you're really doing is you're electrifying it. You're putting energy into it. And when it creates a current and it's alive and it's moving, the colors move people. The actual presentation of it moves people. When they come in contact with the brand, they will be moved by it. They'll be moved by it. So here's one of the other things that I learned in Branding Like a Leader. Now, this is no substitute, ladies and gentlemen, for Branding Like a Leader, but this is something that you can do over the holiday season. Sit down and think about those colors and research them. What does this color mean? How have people in the past connected with this type of color? And then look at your competition. What colors are your competition using? See, brands are about connecting, not necessarily projecting. I would write that down. Brands are about connecting, not necessarily projecting. Because when we project, we pretty much take our own feelings, our own desires, and we project that onto the marketplace. But when we connect, we instead go into the marketplace with a very open mind, and we ask questions. We're almost like the blind man with the stick. We're tapping our way through the marketplace, and as we bump into things, we start to feel around them, and we take note of the texture of the temperature of the thing that we're tapping into. And as we go through this process of bumping into the marketplace around us, we get a better understanding of what's actually going on. Okay? So once you've done this, the next thing you want to do is think about your brand story. So I talked about currency. I talked about movement. So one of the best ways to move people is with a story. They say websites tell, stories sell. Exactly. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to have that brand color that resonates with who you are. You want to have that original positioning that's not so outlandish that it's weird, but it's not so subtle that it's indistinguishable. It can't be distinguished. There we go. So you want it to be original, but not weird. And you want it to be also something that can be distinguished. And then you want to have a long-term vision connected to a story. A long-term vision connected to a story. So when you have a long-term vision that you can connect to a story, here's what you're able to do with your brand. You're able to watch it grow with you. So put some flames in the chat if you are a different business owner today than you were when you started. Like if you're the same business owner 2 years ago as you are today, I don't know. I don't know if you're doing this thing the right way. But what most people will realize is that if they continue to evolve and they continue to develop, they're a different business owner each year. They're more skilled, more evolved, more aware, more concrete business owner. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to box yourself in. You don't want to confine yourself so much so that you can't break out, branch out, and spread your wings. So when we do this thing properly, what actually happens is we have a long-term vision that we're able to connect to a story. So for me, you might have heard me say, my name is Bobby Jackson, and I'm just a passionate veteran who fell in love with business. Now, what's so beautiful about this introduction, this portion of my story, is that it can grow with me. You might have heard Sean say, I'm just a kid from Harlem that God chose to show his grace and mercy through. What's so beautiful about that story is you can grow with it. You might have heard Les Brown say, you might have heard him say, this is Les Brown, Mama, oh man, I forget her name. Mama's baby boy. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot her name. So Mamie Brown, that's what it was. Mamie Brown's baby boy. Man, and you hear it so much that it keeps evolving. So what you see as he tells story after story, Les Brown's story being, thank you, Travis the Critic, Mamie Brown, right? Mamie Brown's baby boy. So what is your story of longevity? So we're about to go to the next break here shortly, but before we do, I just want you to think about what I'm laying out for you. If you spend your holiday season, the next couple of days in the month of December and the early weeks of January, just ironing this out. Okay, boom, these are going to be my colors, and I'm sticking to them. This is what they mean in the marketplace, and I'm sticking to them. Okay, this is my positioning. I don't want to be weird, but I also want to be original. I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to stay right here. And then you say to yourself, okay, here's kind of my story-ish, you know, and again, guys, this is no substitute for Branded Like a Leader. These are some of the foundational blocks that evolved from that process for me. So as I went through it, and as you go through it and you say, okay, this might be a little bit of my story. Okay, this is my long-term vision. Okay, and you just start mapping this thing out. I guarantee you, your brand will start to come alive. And what I'm going to tell you guys in the next segment, what we're going to break down is some of the questions you can ask and the techniques you can use to efficiently hear the market. So one of the disconnects between building a brand is that people don't really know how to interpret the marketplace. We're not really taught how to listen. We're taught how to speak. We're praised for being articulate and well-spoken, but very few people are ranting and raving about how effectively you listen. how critical your ear is, how selective people hear things, selective hearing, and how comprehensive people hear things, people that have a comprehensive hearing. When you are doing branding properly, when you get into the marketplace and you're listening and you're wanting them to inform your process, you must be a comprehensive listener. And I'm going to talk to you guys about how to develop and acquire that skill set when we come back from the break.
The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
I tell people all the time, I say coaching is a future-focused, goal and action-oriented process. Emphasis on action and emphasis on process. We're going to show you how to not just coach like a leader, but to create your organization with a coaching culture. And then create your community of high-level clients who need and respect your ability to coach them on a high level. So again, this is not consultation. Consultation is being the expert. You do not have to be the expert in a vertical to be a coach in that vertical. What you do have to do is ask open-ended questions. What you do have to do is have active listening. Listen, when you get done with this course, you're going to be a master coach, a master executive coach. You can use this in whatever vertical you want to. If you want to do life coaching, this will help you. If you want to coach clients, coach teachers, coach students, this will help you. If you want to be an evidence-based executive coach and only work with professionals, that's what this program is going to allow you to do. But it's also going to help you to add a 0 to the back of your number because you will know what you're doing. This is not hype. This is not motivation. This is evidence-based. This is factual-based, data-based, driven by science, and exalted by performance. Confidence is key. Most of the people I work with, they have the education, the experience, and the expertise. We call those the 3 E's. But they're looking for the 3 I's, the income, the impact, and the independence. And I always tell them that the bridge between the 3 E's and the 3 I's is marrying your confidence to your competence. Most of the people I work with, again, have all of the competence in the world. What I help them do is get the confidence.
Ooh, man, confident branding, confident brands. I think confident brands also bring to you confident clients and customers. Confident clients and customers are people that won't haggle you on your prices. They're confident in their abilities to meet the demands of the service as well as the financial commitments. And that's something that I think is a subtle nuance of branding that I just wanted to put out there. You know, clarity and confidence, crucial. Confident brands definitely attract confident customers and clients. And I didn't know how valuable confident clients were until I dealt with insecure clients. And it's a headache that I just very aggressively encourage everyone to just move over. But back to what we have to crush this morning. When you do this properly, comprehensive listening, what you have to understand is first how to hear the market, how to listen to the market, how to comprehensively engage with the sentiments and emotions of individuals that you have never met. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. The market is nothing more than groupthink at its at its most aggressive and at its finest. So what is groupthink? Groupthink is when you get a group of people in a room, you ask one question, the first person to answer the question pretty much sets the tone for everyone else's response. For everyone else's response. You've probably seen this if you have more than one child. You go into the room of your kids, maybe you have 4 children, or you were the siblings, and mom said, what do you guys want to eat? One person says, pizza. Everybody else says, yeah, pizza's okay. No one really differentiates. We call this groupthink. Everyone has a mind to think for themselves, but if they're in a group, they tend to not leverage or use that faculty. So what you have to understand when you're trying to build a brand is that when you're talking to the marketplace, you're talking to a group of people thinking in unison. You're talking to a group of people thinking in unison. So what a lot of people do when they miss the mark is they try to talk to one person instead of talking to a single emotion. They try to talk to one person instead of talking to a single emotion. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you try to talk to one person, you might still get some people coming in because we're more alike than we are different. But if you talk to one emotion, you're likely to be able to more consistently, predictably, and effectively attract who you want to attract. Because people, we're irrational, we're fickle, we change. So you might get lucky. You're going to get lucky. The law of averages is in your favor. You talk to enough people and you talk with that same direct energy, with the same narrative, you're going to bump into some people that are similar. But if you talk to the emotion, let's say an individual might be insecure. You're not necessarily talking to a person that you know who has been insecure, but you're talking to the emotion of insecurity. When you do that, you have a much larger megaphone and it slices that much deeper. So how do you do this? How do you begin to even think about doing this? The first thing I was taught to do was to investigate the marketing and branding of a competitor. See, the beautiful thing about competition, especially competition that's winning, is they know something you don't know, or they're doing something you're not doing. Either they know something you don't know, or they're doing something you're not doing. So if you're really trying to get this whole market thing figured out, like, we give you more for free than you'll get for a fee. If you're taking notes right now, I guarantee you execute on it, you implement it, you will start to see results. So check this out. Identify some of your competitors. It doesn't have to be all of them. Just identify a few. If you have a business plan, or you at least went through the motions of kind of sizing your market and identifying the activity in the market, like you know who your competitors are. Identify them. Now here's a pro tip. I would highly recommend that you look for competitors that have a personal brand and not a corporate brand. A corporate brand has a lot more money oftentimes behind it, and they're normally doing indirect marketing or like mass marketing. They're not as direct and they're not being as precise. They're playing more of a numbers game. And a numbers game is hard to win if you're not playing a numbers game. Like if you're not trying to throw as much money at the marketplace as humanly possible, engaging with as many eyeballs as humanly possible, buying as much ad space, like you're not going to win that game if that's not the game you're playing. So if you're playing the game of personal branding, which is saying I'm looking for a very specific and unique individual that is willing to pay top dollar for my unique skill set and services, do not per se look for a competitor that is a corporate brand, but look for a competitor that is a personal brand. Now, once you find this competitor, just look at them, study them. Some good things that you might want to look out for is what are their colors? What are their colors? How do they market? Do they have ads? God is in the details and the devil is too. So when I say study them, I mean it. I mean, how many times a day do they post? When? What is the coloring of their content? Is it short form or long form? Video form, like when I tell you we're giving it away right now, we're giving it away. Like, do you see them for them? And once you see your competitors for who they really are, which is a combination of strategies and execution, that's all a competitor is. They are a combination of strategy, tactics, and execution. So what the goal of and I have a military background, so what the enemy is nothing more than strategy, execution, and tactics. What you need to figure out is how to outmaneuver the competition. Sometimes we want to do exactly what the competition is doing and better. Other times we want to do the exact opposite of the competition in more of a subtle ambush type way. But this, ladies and gentlemen, will start to create and develop the skills you need to be, the word I'm looking for is, you want to be open, like you want to be sensitive. That's the word I was looking for. You want to be sensitive to the touch, sensitive to the sight, sensitive to the ear. So by going through this process of evaluating your rivals and evaluating some of your competition, what you'll be developing is the skill of sensitivity, paying attention to the details, to the nuances. And that's how we can move into the next piece. So this next piece, ladies and gentlemen, is ask your current customers what they like about what you're already doing. What do they like about what you already do? Because most people have a brand, they're just not managing it. Actually, I'll say it like this. Everyone has a brand. However, only the strategic manage it. Everybody's got a brand, right? The kid that cried wolf had a brand, and that brand said the next time he cries wolf, don't go. It's a front. It's not real. So what you want to do is you want to identify those customers that's done business with you and ask them very, very specific questions. One question might be, what attracted you to me in the first place? And I mean, ask them. I'm not talking about surveys. See, you guys, some of you all know my study. So my BS, my background of college study is entrepreneurship with the concentration in finance and economics. So one of the courses that I had to take was marketing. And when we talked about marketing, we talked about research. And there's several forms of research. So when you're trying to do a statistical analysis, statistical research, surveys are great. And surveys are great because you can actually take the data from the surveys and you can weight it and you can statistically arrange it. But when you're trying to get insights, we want to use things like focus groups. We want to use things like one-on-one interviews. And what sometimes we can do when we're trying to market, but we're trying to brand ourselves, we're trying to develop and cultivate the brand, but we don't really know what we're doing, we can be insensitive. That's why I said lead with the competition piece to develop your sensitivities. Identify what areas of the marketplace they're being sensitive to. And once you do that, go back and talk to clients that's done business with you. And with this heightened sensitivity, pay attention to the words and the things that they're saying to you that allow you to see what they appreciate. See, once you identify what this client appreciated, what that customer appreciated, why this client left, why that customer stayed, what you begin to curate and aggregate is a theme. What do they like about me? What do they love about me? And here's where the rubber meets the road. Once you pick out your colors, once you pick out your stories and all these different things, and you really start walking it out in the marketplace, ask people if they resonate. Most times we can get afraid of the criticism. Welcome it. I was like that. I was afraid to put my ideas out there. Actually, I wasn't afraid to put my ideas out there. I was afraid to get accurate feedback. So I would put the ideas out there and I would just let them run. But I wouldn't go out to the marketplace and ask the question, hey, how did you respond to that? And it was probably back then, I might have been afraid of them saying, I didn't resonate with it at all. I might have not wanted to hear someone say, yeah, that color just doesn't look good on you. I probably wasn't ready to hear people say, you know, the content here looks a lot like the content over there, and I've already spent my money with them. So what I encourage you all to do, if you're going through this process and taking it seriously, is think about what you're doing, why you're doing it, boldly put it in the marketplace, and when you've done it, be bold enough to go back to that same marketplace and ask them how you did. And as you ask them how you did, what tends to happen is a process. It's called build, measure, learn. Build the brand. You're not going to know what you're doing all the time. But the beautiful thing is when you build a brand from a place of authenticity, you know who you are. At least you have an inkling. And as you put that inkling boldly out there and you get feedback, you begin to measure. Again, build. You've been living. Now take your life and build a brand around it that is in concert with your business. Throw that out there. You built it. Now, once you start getting feedback, measure it. Okay, they like this. They don't like that. They like this. They don't like that. And once you've done this enough, move to validated learning. Validated learning means that you built it, you measured the results of it, and you've learned something from it, and then you've made a pivot or an incremental adjustment and improvement, an iteration. As you iterate, you will create. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go to another break here shortly, but as we get ready to go to this next break in about the next 5 minutes, so we got a little bit of time, I want you guys to put in the chat really quickly what's been the most impactful so far, because this is going to guide how I go into this next aspect. I'm assuming everybody's been busy writing things down because I haven't been seeing too much in the chat. So I'm assuming everybody's been writing as much things down as possible. So please let me know in the chats, in the comment section, wherever you guys are chiming in from, what's been most impactful so far. Has it been the comprehensive listening? Has it been the brand colors? Has it been understanding how to enhance one's sensitivities so that you can actually feel the market? Hear the market. It's a lot like running, ladies and gentlemen. When you first start running, you might feel like your heart's about to pop out of your chest. You're not breathing as well as you need to, but the more you run, the more comfortable you get running. The more effective you get at controlling your heart rate, the better you get at controlling your stride. And that's what branding is really all about. It's about getting out there, moving 1,000,000 miles a minute, not really knowing exactly what you're doing, but knowing where you're going. And as you keep moving in the direction, what tends to happen is your body starts to adapt and you start to be more conscious of the adaptations. That's what this thing is about. Like, I really want to help us, because what I was struggling with, guys, when I was building my brand, as I'm building my brand, like we're still building, you know, one of the things that I struggled with was trusting the process, because I didn't know how to handle the letdowns, the setbacks. So here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. The reality is your brand is potent from day one. Like the moment you start speaking your authentic truth, I promise you, people will start coming out of the woodworks. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to happen that same day, but it is going to happen faster than you might expect. And that's a lot like going to the gym and working out. That first 2-3 weeks, you're going to be like, whoa, I didn't even know I had abs there. I didn't even know I had cut there. But then you're going to hit like this plateau. And this plateau kind of looms for a little while. And some people stop going to the gym. They feel like they hit their spot. Like they're like, I can't get any better than this. Those that keep going to the gym break through. They start lifting heavier weight than they ever thought possible. The cuts keep coming out. And if they're eating right, whoo, they start looking like a beast. And the same thing is true of your brand. When you first do it, you're going to get some of that initial traction. But then something's going to happen, such as people are going to start falling off. Like the people that initially broke out and then, woo, we love this, they're going to start to recede. And then you're gonna be like, hey, I'm doing the same thing. Like, what's up? Like, it's not working. That's when most people fall off. I'm telling you, don't fall off. Keep pressing. That was my problem. Like, I suffered in that discipline space a lot because I'm a creative. I'm a high I. I like to create stuff. When something's not working for me, I'm like, oh, let me create something else. I just love creating. But when it comes to branding, you got to learn to stay. You just got to learn to stay there and keep pushing it out and hammering it out and pushing it out and hammering it out. And what you'll realize is exactly what I realized. What I realized is that people have been burned. They've been hurt. They've been mistreated, and they've got trust issues with the marketplace and with relationships. Like, it's just running rampant in our society. Like, we don't trust easily. So when I see you that first time, I might like what I see. I might even compliment you, but I'm not ready to go on a date. I might like what I see. I might compliment you. I might even show up to the date, but I'm not ready to go on another. I'm not ready to give you my phone number. I'm not ready for us to have an ongoing relationship. That's how the marketplace is. The marketplace is people, ladies and gentlemen. And here's one of the big distinctions before we go to the break that I want to leave you guys with just to think about as I read some of the comment sections and talk about those things as we come back. So here's one of those things. People have understood the economic aspect of branding, but they don't understand the intuitive aspect. So the economic aspect says market demand. So if there's a demand for the product and I can supply it, supply and demand, then I'm going to make money. That's the economic analysis. That's the 1 + 1 = 2. If there's a demand in the market and I can supply it, then I'm going to make money. The fallacy there is that people are what make up the market. The market is not devised of rational individuals all doing what's in their best interest. The market is comprised of irrational people making emotional decisions. So what the market really is and what it requires is you to build a relationship, because people buy from those that they know, they like, and they trust. So what you're really building with the brand is a way for people to know who you are. You're giving them a reason to like you, and you're building over time a relationship of trust that then facilitates the opportunity for you to make the transaction that benefits both of you all mutually. So as we go to the break, don't get caught up in the economic transactional piece. Yes, you may be able to supply what the market demands, but without the brand, it's going to be very hard to connect with them and to facilitate and complete the mutual transaction necessary to create impact.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. From Harriet Tubman to Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks, we have always been on a freedom run. Your LLC, your S Corp, C Corp, your business entity is what's going to give you the ability to go from your job, your industry wages, your 9 to 5, to the life of your dreams and the dream of your life, This is about you attaining all of the things that you could only possibly imagine and that our ancestors saw as not even being possible. Your freedom run? This is your freedom run. This is your moment. We're going to show you how to establish yourself as a business entity so you can go and come as you choose. There was a time when we needed permission slips to go from plantation to plantation. When you get a little bit older, you need permission slips to go from class to class. And when you get a little bit older, you get a vacation for 2 weeks, and then you have to come back after 2 weeks to your job, right? That's what they call it now, the 9 to 5, the gig. You might you work for 50 weeks and you get 2 off. The freedom run is when you establish your LLC and you're free for the rest of your life.
Freedom, freedom, freedom. Man, brands are freedom. Brands are like, take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. Like, you will dance your way to the bank with a brand. And I guarantee it because it's working for me. And one of the things that I read in the comment section from Lawana was that if you can't commit to your brand, you will not magnetize your targeted clients. Like, so true. And one thing I want us all to think about is, who do we buy from? Like, what brands do you personally respect? Because here's something that we tend to do, at least I tend to do it. I tend to look outside of myself for many of the answers that I could actually find within myself. So when you're trying to figure out how to actually communicate your brand effectively, remember, human beings are more alike than we are different. We're more alike than we are different. So you might be able to find a lot about the marketplace out simply by looking within yourself. So another exercise that you can do over the holiday season is identify your top 3 brands. Most people have a clothing brand that they really like. They have a vehicle brand, transportation brand that they really like. And they have either like a corporate brand that they really like. So for me, I would say one of my car brands that I really like is Porsche. Like, I like what they stand for, what they believe in, the style and approach, the integrity of their vehicles. Clothing, I'm not too big on it, but I do enjoy Versace. I think that they're nice. On the lower end, I would say I like Michael Kors, just like simple, nothing too crazy. And for me, a corporate brand would be watches. I like Rolex. I like, there's another one out there, Cartier. I like them as well. So think about what attracts you. What attracts you to certain brands? I also like Fitbit, believe it or not. I'm wearing one. So I like Fitbit because it's sleek. It's simple. It says, get out of the way while getting big things done. And what you'll realize is that you are attracted and magnetized to a brand due to very subtle benefits that it provides. The subtle benefits is what I would like you all to write down. The subtle benefits. When we think about McDonald's, Sean was sharing a story, I believe yesterday or sometime this week, where he said his mom would take him to McDonald's and she'd let him play in the jungle gym area. And as she would let him play, she would be able to sit down in relief. That's a subtle benefit. My kid runs around in an enclosed, safe place where I can see him, but I can't necessarily hear him. Like, I'm on the outside, I can see he's yelling to the top of his lungs, running around having a ball, but I'm not necessarily hearing it. And I can still see him. And I know he's safe. And I can sit here and have this meal in peace, or potentially finish a document, whatever I'm doing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the differentiating factors that really create customer loyalty. So your brand, guys, and this, what I'm giving to you all right now is just context. Because a lot of times we don't know what we're doing when we're building a brand. We don't know why it matters. We know it's important, but we don't necessarily know what its job is. Everything has a job in business. If it doesn't have a job, it's inefficient. Like it's wasting time, money, it's taking up space. Everything has a job. In business, your brand has a job. And one of its primary jobs is attraction. Attraction. But another job of your brand is customer loyalty. So here's the thing. There's a book out there that's the title is, oh man, I forget the name of the title, but here's the essence of the book. It says, it's better to have brand loyalty than brand satisfaction, or excuse me, customer loyalty than customer satisfaction. What a lot of times people do when they don't have brands, when they don't actually have a personal brand in the marketplace working for them, they have customer satisfaction instead of customer loyalty. Now, Apple is phenomenal at brand loyalty, brand equity, and thus customer loyalty. See, Apple is in the business of acquiring customers and not making sales. Now, here's a subtlety, because I really want to help you. Like, I really want to help you this Christmas season. Think about the difference between acquiring a customer, someone that has a lifelong desire to be with your organization, and making a sale, a one-time transaction that pays the bills. The brand is designed to create and attract customers. Now, I wouldn't say marketing is designed to make sales, but it is. However, I think it's best to keep branding and marketing somewhat connected. But if you just needed to separate it for simplicity's sake, you could say that a brand, the separation between a brand and just average marketing is that brands attract customers that are lifelong customers that extend the customer lifetime value, meaning they're more valuable to the company once you acquire them. Whereas marketing is more of this is what we need you to know about us so that you can make a decision on if you want to buy or not. And that might be a one-time transaction. So now let's get into some questions to help curate that, because we want to actually have the questions we need to ask to get the customer lifetime value and to solidify the customer attraction and not just initiate one-off sales. So question number one, how should people feel when they see and engage with your brand? It should be a feeling. So I want you to take some time now. Just think about this. LaWanna said her brands are Ralph Lauren, Delta, Apple. Ooh, you can tell a lot about a person by the brands that they prefer. Right? So during this time, I just want you to think about your brand. Like literally, if you don't have a personal brand yet, like, remember the title of this is Building a Brand Before You're Ready. Like your brand is potent in you. You just need to assemble and put it all together so that as you're developing it, it can take on a life of its own. To do that, one of the first questions you want to ask is, how should people feel when engaging with your brand? I would say that when people engage with the Sean Rais brand, when people come on to Breakfast with the Brand, they feel empowered, they feel educated, they feel like they're about to make an impact, or that they are getting the assistance they need to make a continual impact. I would even say they feel dominant. They feel like if I'm here every morning doing the work, I have a dominating mentality and I want to get into the marketplace with confidence. So that's a part of the brand that you feel here. When people come on to, say, my page, or when they see me on Breakfast with the Brand, I would say people should see something that says educated, polymath. Dare I say, a polymath is someone that is well-versed in many areas. So you guys see me talking astrology, you'll see me talking science, you'll see me talking business, you'll see me talking mathematics, finance, and even military warfare. So that's kind of a part of my brand. Like, I like to bring various things. I'm an abstract thinker. So people that like to think outlandishly, people that like to tie different things together and make profound discoveries, they really like my way of articulating things. So what do people feel when they see you? What emotion do you invoke? All right, number 2, next question. Who do you want to serve? Who do you want to serve? Your brand, they say, your attire. So one of the things that Sean has said for as long as I've known him, match your attire to your desire. It's said that you want to dress one step above your ideal client, right? One step above to position yourself as an authority, right? So when we're thinking about this ideal client, when we're thinking about this brand, think about who you want to serve. If you want to serve corporate executives, it might not be in your best interest to dress in sports attire, such as, say, shorts, Jordans, a tank top, and a fitted cap. That might not say one step above executive, but you may have all of the resources to serve them. But when it comes to branding, it's really about the subtleties, the subtle benefit. What subtle benefit do they believe that you can give them dressed the way you are? So that's just one aspect. Another aspect of who do you want to serve is ensure you're serving the people that can pay you. That was one of my struggles also. So me coming from the military, 12 years in the military, I had a certain mindset that I had to overcome. And this mindset was more socialistic, dare I say. So in the military, everybody get paid the same. Your pay is not based on how much work you do. It's based on your rank and how many years of service you have in. So I had this mindset that everybody deserves all the work that I could possibly do for them at the same rate. Why should I charge extremely high prices? I should be able to serve everybody. I was sadly mistaken. What I realized was that I had to serve the people that could pay me so that I could serve the people that couldn't. That's worth writing down. Many of us have a mission to help people, to have an impact where others have forgotten about a group of people. Like many of us have a sentiment about ourselves, like we want to help people. And what I've learned is that you have to serve the people that can pay you to serve the people that can't pay you. And the only way you do this is by understanding who that ideal client is that can actually pay. And then understanding that high net worth client, then targeting that client, then focusing on that client. Many times we like to serve ourselves. Ooh, okay, I didn't think I was going to go here, but I'm going to give it to you guys like this. Very palatable way, a way that you can digest it. A coach of mine once told me, when you won't make 5 figures until you invest 5 figures. You won't make 6 figures until you invest 6 figures. So what he was telling me was that, Bobby, if you want to charge 4 figures for a product or a program, then you need to have 4 figures invested in a program. What he was telling me was that subconsciously, if you are a personal brand, you want to sell to yourself. You want to engage with people a lot like who you are. So if you want higher quality clients and you want better customers, then you need to become a better client and a better customer and a better person. And by better person, I mean, do as much of what you know you should do when you know you should do it, right? That's integrity in a nutshell. Like, do what you know you should do when you know you should do it. And the more you do that, the better of an individual you will become, because everybody knows the right thing to do. We all have intuition. We all have the conscience. The thing is, we don't always obey it. And when we don't obey the conscience and we neglect the conscience, we also compromise our power. So what a lot of us are struggling with in the marketplace is not engaging with the ideal client that we need to engage with to pay us, because we have not become the person we need to be to confidently and ethically ask that person to do business. I'll say that again. We haven't become that person authentically and ethically. When you have done the work internally and you become the person, it's no longer a moral or ethical issue for you to ask a high number from a high net worth individual. But until you become that person, it's a very, very difficult thing to do. And it normally does not work. They see through it. So I know that was cold water, that was tough, that was cutting through. But as we hit the top of the hour, I just wanted to leave you guys with that. You know, I'll tie it up like this, just not to leave you with that cut, right? Work on yourself every day. Be true to you every day, and take the questions and exercises that we've detailed this morning and put them to work. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been your Breakfast with the Brand. We'll see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m.